Welcome, hunters, to the Hunters Hub, episode 35. I'm excited to do number 35, and today we are joined once again by my co-host Toaster.
Aloha!
And new guest, Cosme, also known as Afeless, and he's on Twitter. He's that amazing artist everyone's been looking at.
Hello, guys. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing okay.
Great.
I'd like to, at the start this time, I've been doing it at the end, but thank Wolfie Melon for our great intro and outro.
Excellent.
Yeah, I love it. And then also thank Jeremy Clark for doing our art, the title, the logo title, and the r/Monster Hunter World subreddit for promoting us. They've been really awesome at doing that.
Oh yeah.
So we like to sort of start out, which is sort of an introduction of who you are and that kind of thing, Cosme. So, how did you get into Monster Hunter?
Oof. Monster Hunter was back when I was in high school. One of my buddies came up to me with his PSP and was like, "Dude, you gotta play this game." And I mean, I'd never really seen it. And when I looked at it first look, I was like, "Oh, okay, it's pretty cool. Looks like Dungeons and Dragons." I was like, "No, man, it's beyond that. It's better." I was like, "Okay, all right." So I take a look at it. They needed an extra player, so I had a PSP. I bought the game, and I fell in love with it. I mean, first weapon was the lance.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because I that's the only thing I could kind of manage to like play with, because PSPs you kind of have these claw hands because you can't really hold all the buttons at the same time.
Right.
So that's pretty much what I manage, and then from then on, I've been playing Monster Hunter ever since, man.
Nice. And so that was that Freedom 1, Freedom 2?
That was Freedom. That was Freedom.
So it's a Freedom 1. Awesome.
The amount of people that started off with the hard ones are like is staggering me.
Yeah, it's you pull the people out of the woodwork sometimes.
Yeah.
Because every time I hear like, "Oh, I started with a PSP," I'm like, "Oh, you poor wow."
Yeah, a lot of carpal tunnels going around because of that.
Yeah, I played the PSP titles a lot. I still have my PSPs actually. I just put them away actually this weekend, because they were out and the girls were playing with them. But
They're timeless.
Sorry, one of my girls keeps crying and I'm like waiting for her to blow up or something. But anyways, the PSP titles weren't where I started, but I did put a ton of time in them. They were the claw was definitely something I did not enjoy. I ended up just it's why I tap L so much now, because I use the L tapping.
Oh, that's true. Forgot about that.
So
didn't you basically have to do that on the DS as well? Even though they introduced a little nub, that didn't work that great.
Yeah, it sucks. That nub sucks. Since I've been playing Generations again, off and on. Ugh.
I mean, that's why, like, even bow gunning, I just got used to just shooting at the screen because I've just kind of guessed where the monster was, so I can hit it without looking at it.
That takes some skill, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that claw. No.
The game in general just takes skill. Any of them. You mentioned you started off with Lance, but what is currently your favorite weapon or your main weapon?
Oh, main weapon is Greatsword. And I mean, I started off with Lance, and then later on, as I played Freedom, I noticed that I wasn't really doing much damage. So I picked up the Greatsword, and I finally found out how to use it properly. And I've been using Greatsword main pretty much all the time. That's what I use right now. And mostly at the end of the games, I kind of like go into dual blades for end game.
Really?
Because for the DPS, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dual blades are, if you know how to stick on the monster, the DPS is going to be really high for dual blades usually.
Correct.
I liked Greatsword. That's partially why I'm glad Generations Ultimate is coming out, so I can play Greatsword again. Because I don't like it in Worlds. The supercharged, True Charge, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, I can't do it right. So
It's tough. It's tough for me, but I'm still a longsword user on World, so.
No, that's like skill. Tried picking up the longsword, and I just sucked at it, man. I couldn't. I picked up a nice longsword from the Cool Veteros, and I've just been sitting there, I've been eyeing it, trying to pick it up. But every time I use it, I either get carded or I don't do anything.
I love the counter. The counter sells the weapon for me. What is that called?
True Sight
There's a name
Slash.
for it.
Truth.
Foresight Slash.
Oh,
yeah.
that's right, Foresight.
And how does that
Yeah.
work? Did
Well,
you have to get hit, or
Yeah. You have to R2 and circle at the same time, which puts you into the sort of counter mode. And if you get hit in the counter mode, you follow up with a slash, and then you can do a spirit slash right after that to go up to the next level.
dang?
It's kind of like
So-
guard pointing with a little more leeway.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I like it. I loved guard porting before. So, but I mean, that's enough about longsword for me. People have heard that many times on this podcast. So what are your top 3 monsters of all time, Cosme?
All time. Wow. I'll have to give it to number 1. It's gonna be Young Garuga.
Yay!
Oh, okay.
Young Garuga.
That's an interesting choice.
I fell in love with him, and then I'll go number 2 to Tigrex.
Okay.
Uh,
That's solid choice, yeah.
3, Nargigant.
Okay. So a newcomer.
So
Yeah.
I have to ask, why do you like Jan Garuga?
'Cause
I like it, but for a very specific reason.
He was such a smart monster that you never really saw in the Freedom. I think Freedom Unite, when he came out, if you tried to put traps, he would automatically not fall into them unless you had to flash him first and do a whole bunch of stuff so he would fall into them. And he always seemed to be better, like, I don't know, like, he always kicked my ass. So I kind of like the whole idea of his AI, how it worked. That's why I fell in love with him.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, a lot of people complain about Garuga because of his instant attacks.
Yeah.
And I say instant in that way because I'm doing finger quotes in a podcast that no one can see. But it's not technically instant, and it is if he's directly facing you, yes, it is. But as an experienced hunter knows, never stand directly in front of a monster. Just don't do it. Be
Okay.
off to the side.
big
Even
no-no.
if you're attacking, even if you're a hammer attacking the head, be off to the side of the head. Because that's where the fire comes out. Don't stand in front of the fire.
Fire bad. And the tail
Fire
swipes.
bad, potion good.
I will admit he is really fun to fight, and
He's different, yeah.
yeah, I also like his armor too. Though that's just me.
Summer was doped. Earplugs. I think he had handicraft on it, or I don't know if it was handicraft back in the day. Sharpness? Is that what it was?
One of those two. One of those that help you with dealing with sharpness, for
Yeah.
sure.
I believe it was actually
Handicraft or
sharpness because I remember putting it. It was one of my generic sets that I used.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was one of the only ways to get a badass cape as a female in Monster Hunter 4U. Every other set that has a cape is male only, and it's like, why?
I keep forgetting you play as a female.
Yep.
Right, to each their own, man.
I mean, my brother does that too. He got that from a family friend that was like, we asked him one time, like, why do you always play a girl? You're a guy. He even does that in Dungeons and Dragons. And he's like, well, if I'm going to be staring at someone's butt, it's going to be a girl's butt, not a guy's butt. And I'm like, all right,
yeah.
I guess.
Point taken. All right, done.
All right.
That's a valid point. I'll give it to him.
Yeah. So from there, Toaster likes to ask the more racy question.
Ooh. All
You
right.
keep putting such a negative spin on it. The question is, if you could date one monster, which monster would you date?
Date one monster.
Yeah, not like full-time commitment date. Just like go on a date with this monster. Or if you want a full-time commitment, go for it. I'm not judging you.
I'll go with Lunastra.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go with that. It's a little temperamental, but so I think she has nice bonding. So I'll go with that.
I like it. It is a cool attack.
Oh yeah.
I will say, I don't see it too often, but oh yeah, I guess that's a good opportunity to mention that I have completed my Gold Crown quest completely.
Da, 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 da.
Congrats.
So I completed it maybe 2 weeks or a week before Lunastra came out. Was it the Monday before Lunastra came out, Toaster? I think I got
It was
one
like
day
that
off.
week.
Yeah, I got 1 day off, and then Lunastra came out, and I was like, oh crap, I guess I'm back to the crown grind. And I finished it. When did I finish it? Friday. But when I went to go post it on Twitter, the whatever, for some reason the PlayStation to Twitter thing wasn't working. It said try again later, and I was like, all right. So I never posted it.
Aw.
But I still have the screenshots of me getting the last crown and the screenshot of how many I fought. I think I fought. It's over 100. I know.
Lunastras?
Over 100. Yeah, Lunastras.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's over 100. If that, or it's in the 90s. It's really up there. But yeah. Well, that's a good choice.
There you go.
I think she was pretty bland up until this version of the game, but
She was definitely
now,
a game changer.
yeah, she's definitely different. So speaking about Lunastra and that kind of stuff, today we're going to be talking about Endgame again. Specifically, at least to start with, the Arch Tempered. So this Thursday, which is we're recording on a Tuesday, so here just in 2 days, we're going to see the change of the guard from the Arch Tempered Kirin to the Arch Tempered Vaal. So to start off with, I have fought one Arch Tempered Kirin, and I didn't really have a lot of desire to do it again, because I don't have a desire to have any of that armor, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
There's nothing there that I'm super stoked about that really is going to change up my build
Correct.
a ton.
Unless you're like a collector of armors. Yeah.
I mean, I do that with event quests, and I could do that with this, but I just don't want to. But so how many times have you fought him, Cosme?
I fought him, I think, a solid 6 times.
Okay.
I just did it. I did the 3 to get the layer armor, and then I did another 3 to help out my buddies. And
I gotcha.
And that's it. Like, yeah, he leaves kind of a bad taste in your mouth every time. Especially like you're at the end. I feel like his last stance, before he dies, gets so dragged out. Like, I feel like he was supposed to die a long time ago, and here I am 10 minutes still fighting it. And in those 10 minutes, 3 people can die easily. He can one-hit KO anybody, yeah.
Yeah, him and Nergigante have that sort of problem where you think they're almost dead, but they can really waylay you at the end. So, Toaster, I know you haven't fought it yet, but what are your thoughts from watching the streams and that kind of stuff?
I think it's really nice what they're doing, because they are giving that. We're not giving you G rank, but we're gonna give you something that's basically G rank. It's pretty cool seeing just the challenge, because I do remember the whole, you get one shot and you die thing. And it's a lot of people don't like that. I think it's exciting, honestly. I kind of like the whole one shot death thing, because it makes you just better at dodging and reading monsters versus just. I'm not gonna lie. I got all the way to the end of the game just by tanking things with my face and shield and chugging health pots. So when I go to do this, it's gonna be a wake up call. But it's nice seeing people do skillful, flashy dodges and stuff again, versus just taking hits.
Taking the hit. It also made a lot of people rethink their armor sets. It made me rethink it. I mean,
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
much a glass cannon, with my greatsword. And then I fought him, and then I kept getting carded, so I had to rework my whole armor set to where I could kind of deal damage, but I mean, at least survive the one hit. So
How
I think
can
that
you
he did
even,
with everybody else. Yeah.
How can you even fight that thing with a greatsword? It's so fast.
Very patiently. Yeah, a lot of just one hit to the horn, and then if anybody manages to ride him, wail on him, take advantage.
Right. Yeah, it's greatsword is always the slower weapons always have troubles with Kirin in general.
Yeah.
Only because Kirin moves around so much.
I've already mentioned
And
this. Oh, sorry, go on.
I said, and that's been true since the first game. So
I already
yeah.
mentioned
Go
this, but my strategy when I go in, and I'm probably going to do it tonight, is take my heavy bow gun, put all 3 armor or shield things on it, bring my max thunder resist and plus guard equipment, and just pray, because I can take the the normal Kirin pretty decently with taking minimal chunks of my armor, and that's without the guard skills. So hopefully adding some guard skills on might let me survive and just focus on dodging, but still just slowly pink at its horn with normal 3 shots.
I never got the idea that even before Arch Tempered, we just had the Tempered Kirin. Everyone was like, "Oh yeah, it totally one shots you," and that kind of stuff. And I don't think I've ever been one shot by a Tempered Kirin. Now, granted, that might be because my armor is all the way upgraded and that kind of stuff, and it's been that way since I fought Kirin. Because I've been using about the same armor set for a long time. It's only slightly changed. It's always some variation of Valhazic.
I think the problem is that it deals a lot of elemental, and not a lot of people bring plus resistance to elementals.
Correct.
But I don't either. I think I have 1 lightning resistance currently. Just 1. And it doesn't one-shot me. But then again, I also have always, the health boost from eating. And then my current set also has the full health boost from the armor skills also.
Yeah.
So that could be it too.
It's interesting.
Even then, the Arch Tempered Kirin still doesn't one-shot me. I did cart twice in my 1 successful hunt, which I only tried once, so yay me! I got it done the first try, and it's a tough fight, and it certainly does a lot more damage. But I was under the impression they were going to add moves or that kind of stuff. Did anyone notice that they did?
They changed existing moves.
I don't think so. Did they?
It does I don't want to say a pentagram because I'm not sure if it is, but basically a pentagram with the lightning bolts on the ground. The lightning key lines.
Yeah.
Each of his attacks does more lightning. When it calls down lightning, it calls down a lot more. Instead of just doing 3 parallel lines with its lightning, it makes them cross each other.
Really? I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't really paid attention that well. I was expecting just a whole new type of attack.
Yeah.
Not pattern changes.
I guess because when he attacks, I'm facing the other direction running. So maybe I'm not watching it.
That said, the pattern changes are enough to add some pretty good difficulty. Because, like I mentioned, going from the lines of lightning on the floor is generally easy for anybody who's not a greatsword to avoid. Because you walk 2 feet to the left and you're fine.
And that's it.
But when you have 5 of them and they're going kind of in random directions and crisscrossing each other, it's a little harder.
Yeah, and some of those areas on the Coral Highlands can be hard to discern between the lightning and the ground.
Correct.
Sometimes.
He also
It's a light.
He also throws more lightning bolts when he does his dropping the lightning down. So occasionally you just won't have a place to dodge to if you're relying on evasion.
So Did we have fun with Arch Tempered Kirin or not?
Yes. I'll say yes. Solid.
I didn't feel it was much different, so I was just sort of like, okay. Now that said, I like fighting Kirin actually. He was my stress relief. Like if I needed to just hunt something and just sort of unwind, I would do a Tempered Kirin. So because Kirin is my third favorite monster, so that would, I don't have a lot of problems with it. I didn't feel that Arch Tempered added a ton more to the fight personally, so it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, if you want this better gear kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, that's a neat idea of the stress relief fight.
oh yeah, I mean sometimes you just need to hunt something.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this a long time ago, but my brother, when we were playing Freedom Ultimate, so Monster Hunter FU, his stress relief was Kutku, and he had done over 1,000 Kutkus.
Wow.
Like a crazy amount of Kutkus. He got it down to where he was sort of pseudo speed running it just to do it. And I think his record was under a minute.
What?
He was able to kill a Kutku.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was like a low rank and he was high rank and that kind of stuff. But still,
He probably hit you even
it was
before the
just-
poor thing landed.
it was an interesting way to do things.
It's weird. My easy kind of stress-free fight, and for you at least, was Gogmazios.
Yeah,
Really?
forever will be the one monster I couldn't solo.
For me, it was stress-free because I always brought a greatsword, and if you just stand under his feet, you're generally fine with a greatsword, just charging and swinging away and not caring about the game.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, until third phase, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to fight him. I was still Charge Blade Guru back then.
Oh man.
So, given the template that we now have for Kirin, for the Arch Tempered, how excited are we for Vaal coming up?
I'm very excited, not only because I love his armor set and I love his looks and stuff like that, so I'm interested in seeing what the new armor set will look like for him, as well as his new looks. But I also want to see the more dangerous versions of his current attacks. Since we know they're not adding new attacks, but they're just modifying current ones, I'm excited and scared at the same time.
Yeah, I wonder how easy it's going to be to avoid when he basically sprays the ground at his feet. I wonder.
It's not going to be fun, I'll tell you that.
I'm more worried about the big Acantor style wind wall or
laser. Yeah.
laser he does. And he
Right.
sweeps it around. It's already hard enough to not get just destroyed by that thing because I use a shield gun and shield gun can't stop that.
Guard up, man.
I guess. But I'm interested to see what they're gonna do for it.
Yeah, and he definitely was one of those easier Elder Dragons from World that pretty much I feel like he got bullied a lot. No. If you see an investigation and it's Valhazak, you're gonna go for it because you can, it's pretty easy as long as you take him to where the T's are, drop the T's, hit his head.
Right.
You can kill him under probably 5 minutes. That probably the Arc version now. I'm hoping it's gonna be a lot more difficult, more challenging.
I just hope they don't.
Probably will be.
The only ability I hope they don't upgrade is I really hope they don't upgrade his whole resurrecting monsters thing. Because I hate fighting him with other monsters. Guaranteed, if he lets other monsters live, I get knocked in that stupid blue acid water and die.
Now, what if we bring back Autogaron? He fights with
That'd
him.
be cool.
Dude.
Actually, I think it'd be cool if while you're fighting him, he has a possessed. I'm going to call it possessed, I guess. A possessed Great Gyros with him.
Reanimate it. Yeah. Oh, nah. That was
Just to have a big paralysis bot in there with you.
So that kind of makes me think, It's like the Zombie Lord.
Yeah.
Zombie Lord Val Hazek. We could be like what is the Kirin's moniker? It's like White something.
White.
The Arc one.
I forget.
The Arch Tempered one?
Yeah, the name of the quest. It's like the White something.
The White Mane?
Yeah, something like that.
Hmm.
I wonder, and I wonder what Val's is going to be.
I hope.
Because if that was true, it'd be Zombie Lord or
The Leech Lord.
Necromancer.
I mean, they could go for straight D&D and just call it a Draco Lich.
Yeah.
That's true too. Yeah.
Side note:
Draco
those
Lich are not fun.
They were the coolest monsters, though.
Oh yeah, fighting them are not fun though. Liches in general aren't.
Correct. Okay.
So personally, I'm very excited because, like I mentioned, I use Val Hazek armor, and I use it not just for the 3-piece set, but the skills that it gives also, the peak performance and that kind of stuff. So to me, it kind of makes me think like I could have better options for using gems as a result, because it's going to have more gem slots too.
Oh, that's
Correct.
true.
So, I mean, if things don't change, I could just straight up just have more skills.
I just want to know, because the Kirin armor didn't have the same skills, right?
It does. It just does in different places.
So will they upgrade or keep the same set bonus for Val Hazak then? And will it...
It's the same set bonus. Same as Kirin is the same set bonus.
Okay. So the question then, does it stack with the other set?
Yes.
Okay, so that's more interesting to me, because that means I can potentially get the stuff I want from Val Hazak with a little bit different arrangements for different skills.
Right, and that's what I'm looking forward to, is just how is this going to change my build once we go forward.
I think my biggest thing I hate about Val Hazak is trying to avoid the stupid Effluvia skill. Mm-hmm. Which is only good when you're fighting Val Hazak.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I have gems. I have an armor set with gemmed in just to fight Val.
Is Arch
Miasma?
Tempered Kirin going away, or is it just bringing them in as well?
I think it's going away. Isn't it a...
It's going away.
Yeah, it's an event.
Oh.
Yeah, so what it sounds like, they're just going to rotate them, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's going to rotate between the two. I'm not sure how long Kirin's going to be gone. My guess is that it's just going to be on rotation. So I would assume, even though that may be wrong to do so, I would assume that whatever the next one is that we'll hear about before Val ends, and we'll go from there.
They'll just keep
Or
adding
it'll
things
just
into the
cycle
rotation.
back. Right, or it'll just go back to Kirin while they keep working on, like Nergigante or whatever,
Ooh.
Kushala.
Arch Tempered Gigante. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's a good armor. I don't use it, but it is good armor.
I use bits of it, like I think
Helmet?
most people use I would say the helmet and the chest are the things that most people end up using.
Yeah.
Or I use the waist, I think, on my set.
For the attack bonus, that's what I use.
Yeah, because I have Rathlos everything else, and then just the waist for attack.
I have a lot more defensive than offensive skills.
This is why you can survive one more than one hit from the Kirin.
Yeah,
Minus all
that's true,
offensive.
too. Yeah, and I'm not a speedrunner, so I'm not looking to do, great times. Although, I managed to get sub 10 Lunastra pretty regularly.
Ooh.
Wow.
So I was happy about that.
Does she deal... How... Because I tried upping up the fire resistance, and I'm still getting wrecked. Does she deal blast damage or fire damage?
She doesn't do any blast whatsoever, so it's all fire. But I mean, there's even elemental attacks have a physical aspect to them.
Oh.
So if you're sacrificing armor for elemental resistance, that's kind of not what you want to be doing. It's like armor and then elemental.
Oh, okay, so
Is-
prioritize defense and then elemental defense.
Right.
Gotcha.
That would be my suggestion, at least, because you're never going to be able to block all the damage just having straight up elemental resistance. Like, I mean, you can get the coveted 45 resistance on something, and still that attack will still hurt you because of the physical aspect.
Correct.
And the fact that you can never fully block all the elemental, too. But in general, it's better to just go with the armor. In my opinion, I'm not a numbers guy, so I could be wrong on that, but that's how I do it, and it seems to be successful.
Yeah. If it works, don't break it, man. Don't switch it.
Right. So one thing we didn't mention, I just thought about this. We had all those E3 predictions, and we got the Behemoth.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm so excited for this.
Now, while we talked a little bit about the Behemoth last episode because it was leaked at that point, but it wasn't. I don't think it was officially confirmed yet.
And we have
That's
video
all
for
we
it.
got. That's all we got out of E3. Like all those predictions, all that big episode we did. I think I didn't have to go through and tally it yet because I've had other things going on. But like, I think Haru won just because of how conservative he was.
Yeah.
Because like,
As long as I don't get negative points.
oh no, we all got negative points. Even him, he got a -1 for guessing 2 monsters, and we only got 1.
I'm so excited for this Monster Hunter collab with Final Fantasy. Not only because I can't wait to see people fight, Rathlos in Final Fantasy, but I want to know if they're just if he's gonna be his own unique monster. Is he just a retextured? What's it called? Yeah, is he just a retextured? What's his name?
Odo?
No, big angry spiky boy. You just said his name a second ago.
Sinagre.
Nergigante?
Yeah, if he's just going to be a Nergigante frame, or if they're actually bringing it as an ogre frame, which means we might get actually as an ogre too, eventually.
Yeah, I'm kind of skeptical about a whole bunch of new monsters coming in right now. Like it seems like, well, granted, Behemoth is not on the leaked list.
Yeah.
Correct.
This is the first monster that we've seen not on the leaked list.
I'm also excited though. Sorry, go on.
I just think that's a significant thing.
Yeah.
I think that does say that we can get some things outside of that list. However, we haven't seen still 2 more monsters on that list, which is Alatrian and what was the other one?
Kirin.
Orochi Kirin.
Oh, Orochi Kirin, yeah. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I'm excited though because also just because of fighting him, because fighting him is gonna be fun and all, but this is Monster Hunter, and what do you get after fighting monsters?
Stuff.
Yes. So I cannot wait to see what's our Final Fantasy looking armor gonna be like, and what's our Final Fantasy looking weapons gonna be like.
I mean, if they put like an Ultima weapon, I'm happy.
Well, since it's it's in style of the Final Fantasy 14, right? I almost want the Red Mage.
Ooh.
I want the Red Mage stuff.
I realized the Red Mage outfit. Also, though, I realized with the weapons, if it's in the style of 14, you remember how 14 has their relic weapons for each class. Imagine if we actually got a relic weapon for each weapon.
I mean,
I know I hope for a lot, but
no. I get what you're saying, but I do have a problem with you saying remember. I've never played 14.
I'm gonna pretend you did.
You're gonna pretend. Okay. I mean, I've never been a big Final Fantasy fan. I love Tactics, and we've talked about that before. We're both big lovers of Final Fantasy Tactics, but Tactics and Final Fantasy 7 are really the only 2 I cared about. So, not a huge Final Fantasy guy.
all right.
I couldn't get into 8. I got stuck farming whatever tyrannosaurs in the forest forever.
Maybe for side quests, down way in the future, I'll make you play Chocobo Racing or something.
We'll see, because our method is pick 3 games, and I guarantee you, I might be avoiding that one.
Aw. But it's Mario Kart, but Final Fantasy.
Why? That's like walking up to like a food stand and saying, "Here's a hot dog, and here's a slightly less as good hot dog. Which one do you want?" I think I want the good hot dog.
But
Exactly.
instead of items from the boxes, you get materia.
Oh, jeez. Actually, big side note here, totally unrelated. I really want to go find... There's a food truck here where I live called Zombie Dogs, and they do hot dogs in the style of zombies.
Oh, that's
What?
awesome.
So my favorite...
It's not
is
roadkill,
called
right?
Dead... No. Although this one is the name is, it's called a Dead Dixie. And what it is, it's a foot-long hot dog with... so you got the hot dog, you have chili on it, you have pork shredding, then you have relish, blue cheese, barbecue sauce, and green apples.
Huh.
That is a abomination of a hot dog, sir.
That sounds like a stomach ache, but I would try it.
I love it.
Oh.
I don't like blue cheese though. I figured out I don't like blue cheese.
What is it like bitter? I feel like it's gonna be sour.
It's got that sweet and sour because it's the green apple plus the sort of sweet barbecue.
Huh.
So, and I
Interesting.
put barbecue on a lot of things. Sorry, that's a total big tangent there.
Hey,
Oh, man.
It just reminded me of zombie dogs.
It's neat though. But yeah, I'm excited to see what weapons, armor sets we get. Red Mage would be very cool, I'll admit. It'd be cool.
Or Black Mage.
It'd be cool to have a what's it called? Shoot, layered armor. I had to remember the name.
Ooh,
A
yeah.
layered armor that changes based on what
Okay.
weapon you have.
You know, I wasn't a huge fan of like the whole layered armor thing, but I'm using layered armor now.
Yeah,
I'm using the guild whatever
yeah.
Oh,
with the feather and
brigade?
everything.
The brigade suit?
Yeah, I'm using the brigade all except for the legs. I just leave the Lunostra legs on.
Okay.
Nice.
The main reason I think that'd be cool to have layered armor that changes is because that way insect glaives could get dragoon armor. So when they're flying around in the sky, it's
Oh,
thematically
yeah.
appropriate.
Yeah.
And then you could have warriors for great swords, and dual blades could get monk stuff, and it'd be fun.
Or they could do like what they did with Mega Man. You could have the 8-bit style Final Fantasy people.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Well, they teased in the video. I don't know if anybody else has looked at this. It looks like they're gonna have a Cactuar armor set for your Palico.
I did see that. Yes, I did see the video, and I did see something about a cactar.
So anybody who doesn't know what a Cactuar is, it's a cactus that they don't have animations. They just kind of bounce around and move, like you made a cartoon in MS Paint and are just dancing around.
Yeah. Yeah, they have that. Wow, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but has anyone ever watched the PSY videos? The guy who used to do Gangnam
Oh
Style.
yeah.
Did you ever seen the video for Daddy?
Yes.
Yes.
That kind of reminds me of a cactus. How he dances.
They also
in
have the
that.
very dangerous and
It's
deadly
sort of-
Thousand Needles attack.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying, like, they have the bent knees and they do that sort of wobbling, but they do something else with their
Oh
arms
yeah, I see what you mean.
in that dance. Yeah. I mean, I see that a lot. I'm not a huge, like, PSY fan. Literally, my girls love dancing to it, so
Of course.
we do dance parties, and PSY is a very common thing.
But
So yeah, kind of got sidetracked talking about Behemoth there.
it's a good sidetrack.
No, yeah, it was good.
Oh, also,
Unlike the zombie dogs.
he himself
but-
looks pretty. Like, that's a really
does.
well done texture.
Yeah, that's a beefy looking behemoth. I remember the ones in Final Fantasy VII don't really look that appealing.
Well, yeah, it's because 7 was PS1, but I'm a little worried.
I mean, but there's some things in 7 that looked really cool, like especially the weapons, the emerald weapon and the ruby weapon, that kind of stuff. They look cool.
I'm a little worried though, because Behemoth casts like Meteor in every game. I don't. I'm just dreading, him dropping meteors on people for cards.
Yeah, I don't know how they would do that.
I would think it would be like that. What is it? Mulgario? The dragon that comes out of the sea that shoots up volcanic rock. I forget what his name is.
Oh,
Mulgario something. He kind of has the head of a Fatalis, but the body of a Legiacruz.
Dire Meyer.
There you go.
He's a weird monster.
I would think it would be
It
like
took
that.
a second.
Bam, bam, bam.
The way you were saying, I was thinking Lucario, and I'm like, get that out of my head. What's happening?
Wait,
of course,
doesn't Crimson Fatalis drop meteors on people?
it does. Yes, it does.
Did it?
Okay.
Yes, yeah, and you could tell because there was a shadow that got
Oh,
bigger.
that's true.
Yeah,
So yeah, just that, but now with the Behemoth style. And Behemoth's a fast monster.
yeah, I could see that happening now. It's, I always kind of, especially in this version of Monster Hunter, you kind of stray away from the fantastical elements of the game. You don't really think about them as much because they do such a good job of making them believable monsters.
Correct.
So, anytime you throw a fantasy element in, you're like, I mean, how? Because, like, I don't know. But the Elder Dragons have always been fantastical to begin with. I mean, how do you control wind? Like, what on earth would control wind? Like, there is no known organ that can control wind.
There is, you just have to try hard enough.
Yeah. You gotta believe in
I
yourself.
mean, circular lungs all around your body, I guess, blowing in a direction. I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, that's a stretch, though.
Coming from a woodwind player, breathing circularly is hard just with one set of lungs.
I never could do that, breathing circularly.
What is that when you... What is that?
It's when you're breathing in and blowing out of your instrument at the same time. So you're breathing in through your nose and exhaling out of your mouth.
Yeah, I think I did it for like 2 seconds once, and then like I started choking because it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's...
Sounds like gonna get a collapsed lung or something. Yeah.
It's a good way to really mess up your lungs.
But there are people who can do it because,
Yeah.
of course there are.
What's that guy? Is it Barry Manilow, the sax guy?
No, you're thinking the Soprano sax guy, Kenny G, who's terrible.
Kenny G.
I hate Kenny G.
Kenny G. I think Kenny G is one of those guys that can circular breathe.
Ugh.
Anyways, another tangent.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. So, our template of Arch Tempered and that kind of stuff. We have a good. I think we have a good idea. This is from Kirin how this is going to go. Do you think that there would have been a better or a different way that they could have done this, or a worse way, or was it just good enough? Because to me, I think this is actually a fair challenge as far as like bumping up a monster. I'm not super excited that they pretty much doubled the health.
Mm-hmm.
I think if anyone is going to learn through the mistakes of Diablo 3, is just doubling something isn't going to help.
I wish they would have been a new rank in general, not just for
Right.
elders. But I would have loved to see, instead of calling them Arch Tempered, just call them Arch Monsters, and then just put them as a new tier above high rank. Like, we don't have to call it G rank. You could just call it, you're fighting Arch Monsters now.
I gotcha.
Or even if you want to give it a name, you become an Arch Hunter, which sounds actually kind of badass.
Right. To me, the existence of Arc to me destroys the idea of a non-second game G rank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like kind of like historical for Monster Hunter, though. It's always like Monster Hunter Freedom, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, Monster Hunter 3.
Well, I mean,
it's kind of like their template already.
Well, I mean, yeah, you have a point there, but how much has drastically changed in Monster Hunter World?
That's true.
To begin with, so I don't know. Like, to me, when Monster Hunter World came out, we really got an idea of what it was and that kind of thing. It's like the Monster Hunter World, I felt like the sky was the limit. They kind of opened up that sort of box we've sort of expected for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, we expected the base game.
Yeah.
We expect the expansion. And, we expect, like, as many monsters as they can get from the previous version. And then, bring back old monsters. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, we've almost come to a formulaic existence before Monster Hunter World. And that shook it up so much. Like, okay, we didn't get G rank. What if that's like a mid-season upgrade or that kind of thing? Because we've also never got new monsters post-release too. So, and we've got like what? We've got Devil Joe, Dunastra, Gulve, and
Behemoth.
Yeah, I guess it was. I was about to counteract you with that, but I guess it wasn't technically a new monster.
What?
In Generations, there was a couple monsters that you physically couldn't fight until the monthly DLCs dropped.
I'm squinting my eyes. You can't see it, but I'm.
There was like a couple, it wasn't, you could, or maybe you could fight the low rank versions, but you could not fight the higher ranked versions of them until monthly DLC. I'm trying to remember which ones it was. I think it was one of the Devil Joe variants you could not fight.
The heavenly one? No.
No. I'll have to check now. But I'll check after the show and then I'll let you know. But yeah, there was, I remember because people were always like, why can't we fight this yet? Why can't we fight this yet? And the answer was just wait until it comes out. It came out in Japan. It'll come out here. You just have to wait for the DLC drop.
Huh. I kind of don't remember that. But okay. Sounds good to me.
But at that point, we knew it was going to happen because it happened in Japan first. Okay.
I just don't remember that. You could totally be right. I have no idea. So I think. Did anyone else have thoughts about tempered, arc tempered, any of that stuff?
I want to know where they're going to stop. If they're going to do Teostra and then Nergigante. And then maybe if they're going to move on to... I'm missing one, aren't they? Oh, yeah, Kushi.
Kusha.
And then are they going to do Xeno'jiiva Arc Tempered? I know we don't have a tempered Xeno'jiiva, right?
No.
I would say they wouldn't do anything that's sort of like a fight like that.
Because I would hope they would, because it seems like it'd be cool, like having, crazy... Because they skipped tempered Xeno'jiiva to jump up to an arc tempered. I think would be fun, but I doubt it'll happen.
It might give you a reason to fight Xeno'jiiva again.
Yeah, I haven't even fought it since like the first month it came out.
He makes decent bowguns.
That's true. He does. And he is used for one of the Lunastra trees.
That's true.
For weapons. But I didn't have to refight him. I already had the gem.
How would that fight be though? Like, he already has a bunch of health. Can you imagine adding more health to that?
I'm just thinking about the upgraded moves.
Upgraded moves? More,
yeah, because he doesn't sweep his big laser. But he could. And...
I mean... It's kind of like... I kind of feel like whoever was in that game planning room when people were talking about Gravius Beam, and they're like, how can we make the Gravius Beam more interesting with Black Gravius? I don't know. Make it sweep left to right where you have to Superman dodge.
I mean,
like,
didn't Dalmadura do that though?
Not necessarily, because you could get out of the way.
Can you? I thought you had the Superman dive through Dalamador.
You could go to the bottom, I think. If you could go to a different level, I think.
Huh.
I could be wrong. I Superman dove. I know that. But I think there was a way to avoid it that wasn't Superman diving. I could be wrong. But anyways, Gravius is the same way too. Like you can't unless you're blocking it, with guard up, you're basically going to be Superman diving if you're anywhere not close to that thing.
Huh.
So I don't know. I've always felt like that's a rough a rough situation to deal with. You know what I mean?
You have temporal mantles down though. You can get out of anything.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yesterday I had the temporal mantle on and I was bouncing everywhere when Lunastra was doing her explosions. But then, it doesn't cover you from the heat damage. So, I still died, but I didn't die from the impact.
Right. I've gotten pretty good at countering each of the explosions in there and just sort of wrecking her while she's I'm losing health for sure, but I'm still doing a decent amount of damage while she's exploding.
All right.
So I think it's good time to transition into the monster balloon.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, for another exciting episode of the Hunter Monster Balloon. Today we are going to talk about, as we spoke last time, the one-horned devil, the Monopolist. Fierce, loud, giant. These monsters are relatively old to this series, actually.
Yeah, they've been in since game one.
Most people know them by their cousins, the Diablos, which is just a Monopolist with two horns and better moves. So if you've never seen a Monopolist, picture a Diablos that has a more rounded crest and a single unicorn horn coming off of its nose, like their cousins. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, if you're a dinosaur nerd like me, Triceratops versus Styracosaurus.
As a great example.
Yeah. Solid.
Yep.
They are pretty large, and they've been known to attack hunters despite them being herbivores because they get a little defensive about their food.
Yes.
The most famous things about the Monopolist is not only the digging underground, which is just wonderful, but they have a large giant roar, just like Diablos. I don't remember if it's bigger or smaller than Diablos. I think it's smaller.
I think it's... Are you talking about the roar or the size of the monster?
Both. I thought they were both smaller.
I think they're the same.
But
I think they're the same.
But yes, they will do their roar. They also dig through the ground. I think they dig through the ground a little bit more than Diablos, though, because Diablos is a very big fan of charging and doing the spins and everything like that, versus Monopolist likes to pop out of the ground angrily.
It's been a while since I fought him in 4 years.
Doesn't he launches himself, too?
Yeah, he launches himself. I think it's similar. It's a very similar fight to Diablos, I think.
Something that is fun, though, is you may have seen one around when you play, I think Generations and 4 you both had it. The Daimo Hermitar uses a Monopolist skull as its shell.
Right. Even if Monopolist isn't in that game.
Yes. Oh, and the Plum version uses a Diablos because, of course.
Right.
They do not have breath attacks, unlike many of the similar sized wyverns of their size, but their roar is more than making up for it.
True.
One thing, though, to note is, and this is something that I highly stress to every hunter, especially since Generations is coming back, so you have to fight one of these. Anything that goes underground can be countered by a sonic bomb. Bring sonic bombs, and if it starts to dig, or wait till it is digging, hit that ground with a sonic bomb, and it will fly out of the ground in pain.
Yeah.
Get those free hits.
Works on him.
Downside, if it's in rage mode, apparently sonic bombs do not affect it. I actually was not aware of that.
Yeah, that's always been true. If something's in rage mode, typically in the older games, it isn't very true now. Even flash bombs wouldn't have affected it.
Really? Okay, I did not know that. That's... Ew.
Yeah.
Very similar to Diablos, they are weak to thunder and ice. And they
Yep.
only appear in the deserts, except for maybe the Everwood, but the Everwood I'm going to consider this temporal,
That's a catch-all.
time-defying place. Because it
Right.
contains every place, so I'll
Right.
just ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
One important thing to note, I don't know if you have this in your notes, just like how we discussed that Lunoster and Teoster were sort of like the offline and online versions, Monopolis has always been traditionally the offline monster, whereas Diablos was the online one. Monopolis is also the sort of pseudo final boss of the original offline first game, that got you the hero sword behind your house.
That's right. Because it was kind of supposed to
And-
signify its horn, right?
At
least I thought.
that and Monopolis also has a significant part in Monster Hunter lore.
What?
Yeah, he does. The
Oh,
guild,
yes.
the reason why they limit it to 4 hunters is there was a Monopolis fight that had 5 hunters. Since the guild could not essentially protect the 5th hunter died and was impaled by the Monopolis. And that 5th hunter was the husband of the Poke Village chief, the old Woodvarian.
I did know about the 5th person, but I did not know about the husband part.
Yes.
And they don't say it specifically. It's the one that you go hunt because it's implied that this happened a while ago. Correct?
Right, yeah. I don't think it's that exact one, but they do say it was a Monopolist.
Okay. There are variants to the Monopolist. Oh, first, their variants aren't extremely exciting, but there are some variants from the foreign fun lands.
Okay.
So the first is actually just one of the more simple ones. It's the white Monopolis, kind of like Diablos has black Diablos. Monopolis has white Monopolis.
Yep. Super weak to water.
Yes. It is still weak to lightning, though, surprisingly. But it does move down. It moves underground a lot more. It requires a lot more sharpness to actually hurt. And it is only ever in the desert. But they don't have too much difference.
Didn't it only come out at nighttime too?
Yeah, I think it was only a night monster too. You're right.
Yeah, that's the only clips I've seen of it. And then there are 2 others. In the Monster Hunter Online version, which is one we still don't know too much about, because that's one that, it only came out, I believe, for China.
Yeah.
And I've not found a single reliable wiki, unfortunately, for Monster Hunter Online. I'm sorry. It's called the Shattered Monopolis. Picture Monopolis, but significantly more orange, and its horn is broken a little more than halfway down.
Uh-oh. Sounds like old one horn.
And it's pretty violent from what I can tell, but they don't have too much information on it, unfortunately.
Okay.
There also is, of course, the hardcore variants that everybody loves. Thank you, Frontier.
Yes.
We love you so much.
I so want Frontier still.
So hardcore Monopolis, on the frill, it actually gains a bunch of red, like blood red streaks.
Okay.
It gets more attack power, obviously more speed. It digs faster, and then it's 2 like minor ones and then 1 big one. It can do ground slams, immediately followed up by the horn thrust. So it'll ground slam, so you get that earthquake stunned effect, and then turn to you and hit you before you can recover.
That sounds fun.
It also does a sliding tail whip, similar to how Tigrex does his little grind and spin around while moving forward. Monopolis will
Yeah.
do that just with a tail whip instead. Which is
Okay.
great because its tail has a very long reach. And it has more spiked in this version. Also, it has a much longer horn, too.
Great.
And I have to apologize here. My researchers have failed me. I have looked in many
Yeah.
locations, there is a hardcore white Monopolist.
Oh, okay.
Our researchers were able to get a picture of it. It is a white Monopolist, white as a Kezu, actually. The spikes on it are a very red, and its horn actually has the unicorn horn styled spiraling going up it. Unfortunately, our location for all of our information, the description for the hardcore white Monopolist is just a question mark and nothing more. So we can theorize on what it does. I'm going to assume it has more digging, more charging, and more terrible, terrible things. But I find it interesting that of all the monsters I've looked up from the wonderful world of Frontier, this has no information on it.
Oh.
So I don't know if it was teased or if it was never released or what it is. I just have this single picture.
Okay.
But that makes up a Monopolist. It doesn't have a too sordid history from my experience because unfortunately I was not around during the first games. So I didn't get to really experience it too much. And then when I fought it in, I think 4U put it in, correct? It was either 4U or Generations.
4U. I'm pretty sure it wasn't in Generations.
Yeah. It wasn't really memorable because every time I went to fight it, I just thought like, oh, well, this is just a less cool Diablos. I know that seems rather mean, but it's aside from the very cool lore bit about, it being the reason we can't take more than 4 hunters. I don't have memories.
I will say this. Monopolist armor will, as far as skills and aesthetics, kick Diablos armor's butt any day.
Really?
Yeah, by far.
Oh, yeah. By far. One of the reasons why I loved the original Monopolist armor is it. Well, okay, so think of the older Diablo stuff. It's certainly bulky, right?
Right.
But it's tipped in those sort of like spikes, the white spikes, the gray spikes, right? That are the colorations of the horns.
Right.
Now imagine that the armor set is a little bit more Black Knight looking, being full black with red spikes.
Ooh, okay, I actually see a picture of it now. That is intimidating.
And a singular horn on top of the head instead of the two that's actually really tall. But on top of all of that, it's one of the few early sets that give you, I say early, it's more like a mid-tier set, that gave you attack up large.
Wow.
So it had a lot of attack on it.
Okay. Right.
So, yeah, it was a good set to use.
So being part of the people who were like some of the first in Monster Hunter, you playing 1 and then you playing the PS Vita versions, or PSP versions. How did you guys like actually fighting it back when it wasn't just relegated to not?
It was identical to Diablos, and I enjoy the Diablos fight, but it is a bunch of digging and charging.
Correct.
So.
I feel like the Crimson Monopolist gave me the toughest fight. So
yeah, it can be tough because it's so big too. Monopolist. I think Diablos has always been big, but Monopolist, I felt like Monopolist has always been bigger.
Let me look this up because we're here, might as well.
Right.
Wow, yeah, it looks like they're the same size roughly, maybe 100 centimeters more, but when you're 2,000 centimeters, 100 more isn't that much.
It's true. Okay, cool.
But
I don't know. I didn't have much else to say about it.
yeah.
Have you ever carded to a Monopolist?
Yes. I've even triple carded. Yeah.
Oof.
All the time.
So obviously, I'm going to go ahead and say Fortuan probably prefers Diablos because of certain obvious things that we shouldn't have to say anymore.
Number 1 monster.
But what about you? Do you prefer Monopolist, do you prefer Diablos, or do you hate them both?
Are you talking about like the fight or overall? Overall.
I think overall.
Let's do both categories. Do you like the fight between them, or do you like them, overall better?
I like the fight with the Diablos, but I like the Monopolist a little better. Because, I mean, like you said, the cool armor that he had. And what else? I remember there was another distinct thing between the Monopolist and the Diablos fights. Forgetting something. But that Monopolist was probably my favorite between the two.
Monopolist did a lot of bucking with his horn, whereas Diablos doesn't.
Oh, that's true.
That might be what you're thinking of. Because Diablos would sort of charge in and to sort of end it. Monopolist would charge up to you and then try to stab you with the horn.
Okay, kind of like a Kirin stabby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? That would be a great idea for an event quest. It'd be from a little girl who says she really wants to see a unicorn. And it is a dual arena quest where you fight a Monopolist and a Kirin at the same time.
Wow. Well, the Kirin will pretty much end up killing that Monopolist, right?
Hopefully.
What's his weakness? Is
lightning and thunder.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had strange, quest requests also. There's always the famous one where the princess, not the princess, the bride or something, they're trying to get food for their wedding party and they want a Rathian tail, something like that. It was just so weird.
My favorite, there is actually a RuPaul reference in Monster Hunter. The RuPaul, it's a cat named RuPaul, puns because Monster Hunter. It actually quotes, RuPaul and saying, good luck and don't mess it up. And it sends you out on a fetch quest to go get something because it makes like a great perfume or something like that. It's like the smell is fabulous. And it's like, oh, that's wonderful.
Great.
Glad to know we are an errand boy for your desires.
No, that's one of the things that World, because I miss the other games didn't have much story to begin with, but I feel like World is kind of missing those elements.
Did the quests have quest descriptions with them? I feel like I missed and didn't read them at all because I like the previous ones because I always like to read them to see why I'm doing a thing, but I didn't really pay attention to those.
Yeah, I feel like this one's all research, right? I don't remember it being.
There wasn't some of the optional quests kind of had that stuff, but not a lot.
I think most of them ended up being like, "This monster is dangerous. Go do a thing.
Go kill it." And also remember what back in the day they used to give you I don't think they were called magazines, and you would get them every once in a while by unlocking or a shard leveling. And they would tell you little bits of stories or whatever, kind of like where I think the Fatalis had one. Like you will read the poem of the Fatalis or the story, and then you get another one, and they will tell you like a little story about something, and you could only read it in your room.
I do remember some of the weapons from like Fatalis and I think Dalamador and maybe Gog. Some of them tell like a story with each of the weapons. So like if you piece them all together in order, you get like I think one of them like is the foretelling of doom or something like that, like the end of days.
Like the epitaph blade. They had the whole. Huh.
Right. Thank you, Hunters, for joining us today. This is Fortuan. You can find me at Hunters Hub Pod on Twitter. You'll see me tweeting there from time to time. It's cut back a little bit just recently. Had other stuff going on, but I'll be back. But until then, I'll see you guys next quest. And on that quest, where were we going to find you, Cosme?
You can find me on Twitter posting cool art at Cosme Lucero. And you can also, if you like the art, you can also support me on my Patreon.
Awesome. And Toaster, where are we going to find you?
You can find me actually using Twitter for once. And also, we broke the horn off of the Monopolist. So next week, we're going to try taping it to another Monopolist and make a Diablos. Fine, stay tuned.
Just taping it on. Okay. Yeah, just that's how you're going to do my favorite monster, huh? It's just a fake
Well,
Monopolist,
you know what?
right?
Diablos are expensive to rent out. Okay.
Yeah, it's not even side to side. It's like one on top of the other.
I'll tell you what. Do it. You're all excited about Cactar and Monster Hunter